Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing Gaia of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the warring forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. Rock will never hide.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network, where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media, and I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night. And it's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle, but not our only Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle, because if you tune in to YouTube on Friday nights, you know that we now have two Werewolf the Apocalypse chronicles, because Hellhounds is now live on Friday nights, and it's all about our second werewolf pack that has arrived in the city of Tampa, and they are... well, they're making waves. They've made quite a splash since they've arrived, and the first pack, the primary pack, the leading pack, has felt the ripples of those waves in recent weeks, and they have tried to make do with those ripples, and they are still feeling the after effects of that impact that second pack has made since coming to town. But that's not all they've had to deal with, because they've also had to deal with a rising and emerging threat that has also made its way on to the scene in Tampa. But we're going to talk about that in a little bit. If you like what you've seen, and if you've been keeping up with Rage Across Tampa, you should also be following us on all of that social media you see listed on the bottom of the screen and in the description down below to stay up to date on all things St. Pete by Night, because we do have a lot of exciting stuff happening, not just on our social media, but in our community, which you could join by jumping on that Discord link down below and becoming a part of our amazing community, because we have all kinds of cool community activities that you could be a part of if you just come and join us, which I definitely encourage you to do, because we are we're a pretty cool group of people, so come be a cool cat or dog with us by joining our pretty cool community. If that didn't sell you, I'm not surprised. So, yeah. Anyway, it is Tuesday night. It's Rage Across Tampa. And if you haven't tuned out, thank you. Thank you for not tuning out. I really appreciate it. I couldn't tell this story alone, of course. It would take some much cooler people than me to make you stay on this show, and thank you for doing so. So let's introduce those amazing, really much cooler people now. Players, please introduce yourselves and redeem this stream.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champ. Champagne. Smoking a pancake. You know, flapjack and a cigarette. Cigar and a waffle. Pipe and a crepe. Whatever you want to call me. And I will be playing Aspen Wise by the docks of the Silver Pigs.
Hello, everybody. I am Nori, and I will be playing Melissa's Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hey everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, the Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
Hey everyone, my name's Preston. I play Jason, Dreams and Decay Thorn, the Urge of the Bone Gnars.
Champ, I can't think of a badder introduction, though I'm gonna try. Oh man, I'm gonna really drive people off this stream, I swear. It's gonna be one of those nights. As I said, let's try and get back focused and on track. A new threat has emerged in Tampa over the last few weeks as these strange and mysterious plants have started to crop up all over the city. They have been reported in whispers, mostly in agricultural and botanist forums. And it wasn't until one was spotted by Jester and Aspen while on an outing to clean up parks that it really started to take notice. It was when they came upon one of these sprouting plants that was starting to crawl up the side of a tree, when they noticed that the plant seemed to blink, that it was watching them, that it was starting to take on features unlike any other plant. When they tried to remove the plant and take it back to the rest of the pack for inspection, they found that the plant had decayed and no further inspection could be done. However, Jace, Dreams in Decay, was able to use his spiritual gifts to glance beyond into the history of the plant, where he discovered some very terrible secrets, some very interesting spiritual information about the plant. So, last week, he and Jester went back to the scene at the park where the plant had grown, and he was able to discover just how much damage these plants could be doing, not just to the earth as we know it, but to the spiritual realm beyond, where he saw firsthand in the Umbra the poison that was being spread in the Umbra and to Gaia herself, as the black, inky residue that was left behind where the plant had been, even though it had been removed several days prior, it was still leaving remnants where it had been, dug deep into the ground. And this was just one of these plants, and it had only been there a short while. There could be many, many more in many different locations. So in an effort to find out just how far spread these plants are, you have attempted to reach out to several contacts to learn more about what is going on with these plants. However, that's not the only task at hand. There's also this new pack that has come into town from Michigan. Charles has been tasked primarily with the training and settling in of this new pack. And Aspen, you attempted to try and figure out what the deal is with this new pack by talking to Matthias Morningkill, your mentor, who was responsible for bringing this pack into town. And he seemed just as bewildered as you were as to why this completely uneducated, untrained, undisciplined group of individuals were sent as reinforcements or help, when it seems instead they were sent as your problem now instead. But as Matthias told you have to take what you can get. Desperate times mean desperate measures, and you can't send them back, or else you are just proving the rest of the nation right. You have to make do, and you have to make them better. Because then you can prove that this is the right course, this is the right way. But it's not going to be an easy task. And the information you learn from the arrival of this new pack is that this threat, this growing threat, these plants seem to have started here in Florida at the factory in Piney Point. But it's not the only place this threat is spreading to, because it seems that it has gone all the way to Michigan, and that it seems to have something to do with a company known as High Quality Builders, a construction company known for constructing new housing developments, and that somehow there's some sort of cooperation between these two companies. One, a fertilizer company, the other, this housing company, and that through their collaboration, these plants may be spreading into these housing developments. And then there's Lucas. Lucas, who's tried to start an underground movement to try and assert some influence throughout the city of Tampa, to try and remove some of the remaining leech influence within the city by asserting more guru influence in the underground, has joined the bikers as a prospect to try and get some goodwill with the bikers, but also to try and find a way into the underground through the bikers, while also perhaps maintaining some fingers in the pies of a local mafia family who he reached out to a few weeks back. Needless to say, there is a lot going on here, and the pack still is reeling from the loss of their previous Arun, Aiden. All that and more will be discussed and dealt with tonight. Our story begins at the Cairn, as it often does, as the pack comes together to meet, to check in, and to discuss. After Jester, Lucas, and Charles were successful in destroying a hive of vampires that had been terrorizing a neighborhood, a rundown neighborhood in Tampa for several weeks, responsible for the death and disappearance of many, many people. So as all of you gather together, the scene is yours.
Welcome back, everyone. It seems we have a bit to talk about. Why don't we start with Jester and Lucas, and Charles, of course.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. It was handled.
You,
The three of us went into the hive, which is pretty disgusting. I mean, I don't know if like becoming a leech just takes away any sense of common decency or whatever, but like the whole place was trashed when we went in. We took care of some of them. Lucas went upstairs while Charles and I went into the kitchen. In the kitchen, they had dug a hole directly into the sewer system. Like pretty large hole directly into them. And there were like a couple of those ugly ones we saw, Aspen, when we had gone to the power plant a year back. And there was another one, she was pretending to be human and a victim of them. Charles and I took care of the ugly ones, and then he jumped down to finish her off, and it turned out she was one of the stronger ones. I don't know what happened to Lucas upstairs, but he said like he took care of one that was pretending to be a dog, I think, Lucas?
Yes, it was pretending to be a dog, so not like a wolf, like a dog. So just be on the lookout for that. It was disconcerting, to say the least. But you can still smell them, even like that.
Lucas and I chased the girl that was pretending to be a victim down and finished her in the sewers because she tried to run. And Charles leveled the house, so
Well, it seems like the best thing to do in that situation. You said it was disgusting.
After
It's a
the
word
damage
for
that
it.
had been done to the foundation, digging a hole into the sewers, there was far too much that would need to be explained. It was better to make it seem like a sinkhole.
Fair
Not to-
enough.
not to mention the bodies out back.
Were those taken care of?
No.
Probably take him some time to dig up that house. So, yeah, we might have time on that one. We'll see.
If they are discovered, which they likely will be, it'll answer some missing persons reports. And frankly, that's a problem I don't believe we need to solve. Better that they take care of it. Better that those loose ends are tied up. I don't believe there's anything we need to concern ourselves with at this point.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that it didn't become something bigger. If they came investigating the sinkhole, who knows what could happen when they find a bunch of bodies.
It is going to make the news. There's no question about that. But better that it puts people on alert to a possible serial killer or brings attention to what the leeches are doing. It'll make them more cautious, more paranoid.
I kind of agree. Also, they're the ones that made the mess. We shouldn't have to clean up their mess. We can stop them from doing it, but like trying to cover up for them, why should we do that? They're the ones making the mess. We can clean up after ourselves.
To a
Well, I
point.
agree, right? Well, if they become too messy, then, and we're intermingled within them, it could come back to us. So whatever we can do to avoid that is always something to think about.
There is such a thing as too much unwanted attention. There are forces that we don't want coming to town no matter what. They're bad for
In
all of us.
Goody. In your cleanup of the area, had you found anything else that would connect to potential other hideouts, houses, anything of that nature?
I
In
didn't
that-
see anything.
In that particular location, no.
Okay, so then I guess for now we continue to keep an eye out. Keep a look if anything kind of seems suspicious in the area, not only with blinking plants, but disappearances. If those continue, then we know that we still have a large problem that we need to keep an eye out for. Well, good. Seems like you guys were all successful and took care of the problem quickly, and we have no issues as far as that goes. So, great.
I mean, we are going to continue, and according to Larry, the bartender at the Bikers, like, it seems that since Mary's gone, there are multiple groups trying to take her spot, so to speak. Like, at least, claim to be the biggest badass or something on the streets. So I think we're going to deal with that.
And it'll probably only get worse. According to Matthias, Bateman has kind of been underground, not making a lot of noise, staying out of the public eye. So knowing that potential powerhouse is laying low, there's potential that others are going to pop out of the woodwork looking for their slice of whatever it is they do.
If they do, we'll just make it known, why they should fear us.
We don't need to play a protracted game of whack-a-leech. This is going to send a message enough. And if we have to do it again, if we're forced to do it again, we will.
Which is why I think it's even more important what you're doing with the bikers, Lucas. So, ear to the ground, having a place where people know people and can get those kind of tips for us is really important. So, how is that going, by the way?
It complicated, not in any kind of serious manner. It's just I'm not forcing my way in there. I'm not doing it in the way that I would expect that they thought we would do it, because they're not stupid. They more or less know what's going on. At least Bruce does. President, he gets it. He knew Ryder enough. They're not dumb. They have an idea of what's going on. So I didn't want to just be another person shoving my way in there to, I don't know, use them. So I'm going the correct routes and joining them in the manner that they'll respect. So they're not just a tool, they're an extension. And I want them to see us as the same thing. If they need help, they can contact us. And if we need help, we can contact them. And slow. The process is slow, but I'll get there.
Do you need help?
I mean, do you want to get on the floor of the garage and scrub up all the oil after they work on their bikes?
No, but I could put it in a good word for you here and there.
But I'm doing what I need to do for a good word. I appreciate it. I know that they respect you, but I need to do this their way, not our way. They're going to treat me like shit. It's fine. It's nothing I'm not unfamiliar with. And when the time's right, the time's right.
Okay.
I think a little bit of both is good. They know that you know Jester. We've become not just bulldozers, I guess. We've become friends with them. So we've had a lot of connections with them in the last year. So if you want to try and do it a different way, just let Jester and I know, I guess.
No, we're good. When the time's right, I'll introduce them to my other friends at the sandwich shop downtown, and we'll start spiderwebbing those connections out, and that's when things will start getting really fast. So, but we're not quite there yet.
Well, good. Just keep me informed of what's happening with that, so we all have a better idea of where everybody's at and what everybody's doing. To that note, Jason, have you spoken to spirits about Piney Point?
I've reached out. I haven't gotten anything back yet. The place is strange, so it's a little bit harder to get anything back on it as of now. But I put the feelers out. Just gotta take some time for them to get there and get me something tangible, but nothing yet.
Okay, well, as soon as you know, please let us know, because I recently had a conversation with Matthias, and it seems that Piney Point should be our main focus with everything, the history and the potential that they could cause to Tampa as a whole. That needs to be our biggest focus as of right now. And since Bateman is underground and we don't have a way of getting to him right now, Matthias says he will look into that for us. We should be moving in the space of taking care of that.
Yeah, I agree. Anytime I get anything as far as anything on the spiritual side, I'll be sure to let you know.
Perfect.
Eliza actually kind of clears her throat. I'd actually be willing to help in this matter. There's a lot to consider in trying to send spirits to Piney Point. As Jace knows, things work differently in the Umbra. Time works differently in the Umbra. While it's been near a decade since everything that happened at Piney Point, to them, it might feel like just yesterday, or it might feel like a millennia, depending on the spirit. That place was a battlefield, a spiritual wasteland, not unlike what many may have viewed the last Caern to be. Many spirits will be very unwilling to go there, and will need a great deal of convincing to even approach the area. Not to say what's even become of it now. So perhaps this is something the two of us could look into together, and with a little extra convincing, perhaps we can give them something, some incentive. So maybe this is something that we can talk about when we meet later.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think a familiar face with the spirits might help as well.
Perhaps.
Eliza, that place has been pretty heavily picked over prior to them moving in.
I'm not surprised.
You know who liked to go there a lot, so.
I'm sure they're not the only one. There was plenty for scavengers.
Yeah, just be careful. Both of you.
We'll do what we can.
Well, from what I understand, they're not going. They're just trying to convince spirits to go.
Right.
If we call to the right type of spirits, there are certain types of spirits that could blend in well to those surrounds. The types of spirits that we could call to may not be the ones that our kind are particularly fond of, but buzzards, carrion. There are some that aren't necessarily worm, but are
Worm
close
adjacent?
enough.
It's a good way to put it.
Opportunist.
Okay.
They
Well, then, yeah.
toe the line and would be more willing to take the risk for the potential of reward. However, they are also a lot more tricky to deal with. So the two of us going into negotiations with them, the better.
Okay.
No, I think that sounds perfect. You know the history, and if it is only been a small bit of time for some of them, then having somebody there who knows the history of everything that happened is priceless, really. Plus, you can get Jason acclimated to all of the stuff we have going on.
Oh, there is much I have to speak about with Jace. Yes.
I don't doubt that. I look forward to our little chat.
As do I.
Since we're focusing on Piney Point and the problem there, we do have to talk about, I believe they're called high quality builders, and they're connected to, and she'll pull from her pocket a little piece of like a vinyl bag and hand it over to Lucas.
So
It's what the new pack found in Michigan.
Lucas will take it and open it up, but not reach inside of it. Just look.
It's actually
just a
not a
little
bag.
slit.
It's a torn off piece of what was probably a larger bag, possibly a piece of a bag of fertilizer, like a large vinyl wrapped bag, but it's only a small section of it, like a label that was ripped off of a bag, and it just simply has a almost like a UPC code, but it says made in Piney Point, Florida. Or manufactured in Piney Point, Florida.
They brought this down from Michigan.
They sure did.
Apparently, they have a plant problem too, similar to the one we found.
Those are two completely different biomes. That's
Came from here.
yeah.
Read the name.
I'll check out the name.
Pendex.
Three letters on the end of that. That was what was on her clipboard the day that I first met her. So that checks.
What's Pentex? I'll look around the table. I feel like this is something that's danced around. Anna mentioned it to me once. It's here. You mentioned our friends. I thought you were talking about Indron. But seems like it's this thing.
I had a phone call. Pentex is a thing that more talked about in places that you want to make sure that whatever's going on is not heard about. Pentex is at least in Columbus, they're an entity in themselves, but they hardly ever have their actual name on things. They go by several different names stacked on top of it. So that way it never really gets back to them. But they have no conscience about anything. They will cut ties. They will eliminate people who get in their way. At any point that you think you have a leg up on them, they'll either eliminate the person who leaked it, or they'll cut out altogether and you'll never see them again. But they're in ties with everything, whether it be pharmaceutical, manufacturing, hell, some of them are even in some of the governments, like all different branches. They have their hands everywhere.
So they're a megacorp.
In a sense.
I think, I mean, and they used to talk about it in very, very hushed tones in Chicago. They talked about it in reference to Endron. They also mentioned up there was Magdon, which is a cosmetics and pharmaceuticals. So less of a megacorp and more of a holding. If they need to bail out of something, they bail out quick. But Jace is right. It's smoke and mirrors. It's a ghost.
Did you say Megatron?
Endron.
What was the other one? The pharmaceutical or the cosmetics?
Magdon.
Look over to
Cosmetics.
Jester.
That the one that that Artie found that was connected to Endron, and you guys could never find the one above them?
With the stone.
Great.
And this is big fish. Maybe one of the biggest fish that's out there. More like a shark, to be honest. It's a good thing we got a second pack down here now. Because if that's the problem, we don't have enough.
Even with 2 packs, that's pushing it. Like, I don't want to tell you guys how to do things, but letting the nation know that there is something connecting them down here probably going to be a better idea. But in hushed tones, seriously, if it gets out that we are on to them, that's it.
High quality builders is using the fertilizer in their developments. Their new developments. I reached out to Artie, and Artie gave me some information of high quality builders building within the Tampa area. There's a project in Old Seminole Heights off of Sly Avenue. There's a remodel in Gulfwood Estates. It's right next to the Tampa airport. And a complex being built in Largo in Pinellas County. So across the bridge. That's what he could find. And I think there's something to be said of getting more information about this high quality builders.
Check out the build sites.
I think so. I think if we can get our hands on some of this fertilizer, I could have you check it out, Lucas. And also maybe our potato friend.
I haven't seen him in a while, if he's even still around. But that's fair. 2 things. 1, do not bring that fertilizer back into the cairn, period. If it's plant-based, if there's something in it, and it gets in the ground here, we're going to have a whole nother thing to deal with. And 2, they might be able to figure out where we're at based on what you brought when we last met. Nobody wants that. And 2, outside of right here, only right here, we do not say Pentex. We only deal with high quality builders. That's it. Don't even mention Piney Point if you can avoid it.
What about Endron?
I would, unless the conversation is specifically about Endron or anything else, I wouldn't hold a conversation that connects the 2 of them.
Fair.
I mean, if they're not stupid, they know what our kind does. So us going after major ecologically poisoning organizations and efforts is no surprise. So individually, those things are fine. But together, we start connecting those dots. That's when we're going to bring a lot of heat. With that, I'd say we also probably divide and conquer. We'll go checking out these sites. Rolling deep is only going to draw attention.
Jester and I can go check out the Gulfwood Estate if you and Jason would like to go check out the Old Seminole Heights.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I would include you, Charles, but I know your hands are full.
Charles has been eyes kind of in the middle distance, his shoulders very tight and hunched ever since the conversation shifted to Pentex. His brow furrowed. He nods his head a little bit. Understood.
Speaking of plants and they're connected, I have pinned down several locations where more weird plants have cropped up. I would like to go and either taking a look and possibly rooting them out. Jason and I went back to the place where we found the original plant, and he said that it had been corrupted by worm influence where the plant had grown. The tree was not as affected because it had been attached less time, but in the ground it was. When we removed it, he said it's just going to take time for it to heal, but if we leave any of the others out for too long, I think that's going to cause a lot of issues.
It looked like it was trying to choke out the tree, like almost take over it in its sense, like an invasive species, like feeding on something outside of its food chain, but still getting the upper hand.
Okay. Definitely, as we find the plants, they should be taken care of. Be careful with dealing with them. We don't know what we are getting ourselves into.
Anybody willing to go with me?
I can go again.
Okay. Just for future reference, Jason. Aspen likes the buddy system.
I'm catching on to that. So no solo flyers. Is that kind of the general rule?
Charles gets to go solo. He's special.
And I often do it and just don't even tell her.
Which
Oh,
she was
that's the
really
thing.
pissed about.
Gotcha. Cool.
She does. Don't worry. You'll get one of those at some point.
A need to know. All right. Yeah.
I think it's in everybody's best interest to have somebody else with them in case things go badly.
It's not
And
bad advice. It's not bad advice. I'm not disagreeing.
I don't go anywhere I'm not confident I can't leave unharmed. Completely
Is there any-
confident.
All right, but is there really anywhere that you can't go unharmed?
No.
that's kind of the point, Jason, is he can handle a lot of things on his own. We're not built that way.
Not like that. No.
So the closest one to Charles while he's busy would be Jester or Lucas. So as we move through space, we should stay together and have somebody who can get us out of situations if need be. Just like I wouldn't trust you or Lucas to go into a situation speaking to others. You would need Jester or I for that.
Okay.
Very correct on that. Very correct. And just a side note, on your way out to investigate these places, stop and buy yourself a bottle of white distilled vinegar and some salt in a spray bottle. Plants are complicated when it comes to killing them, especially if they're trying to choke out something else. We may be dealing with a situation where 80% of the time we're going to kill the host plant. But vinegar, salt, heat it up, mix it together, put it in a spray bottle. It's a very neutral herbicide. So
Jester will take out a small little hand journal and write down what he said and put it in her purse again.
we'll get that apple cider shit. White distilled vinegar. Pure.
Underline white distilled vinegar.
There you go.
Aspen will side-eye Charles, giving him a look that kind of says, care to share?
what everyone is saying about Pentex is true, but is also an understatement, if it could even be called that. Never has there been a better personification of the worm in its truest, purest form than Pentex. But just like the worm, though many have tried, none have been ever able to truly defeat it, because it is not a thing. If anything, it's an idea, a concept. Just like Jason said, every time you think you've found it, it disappears, evaporates, only to reappear again, elsewhere. It isn't just appearing in Florida. It has always been in Florida. It is everywhere. We are just finding it. It is showing itself. But it has always been here. It is unfortunate that it is making itself known at this time, as obviously as it is, because that means they have an advantage and they are pressing it. And that puts us at a very disadvantageous position.
We always knew there was going to be power vacuums. But if we can push back, keep pushing back, then it shows that it's possible. I don't plan on saving all of America, the world, or any other thing in what I do here. But I think what we do here, we can show that it's possible to push back.
More will die if they are here and they are pushing.
Gonna have to be smarter than them.
This isn't a good start. We're doing our best, but we are not being dealt the best hand. But we will try. And we will make do.
And as it's been said before, if we give up now, then we prove the nation right.
Never.
Speaking of the nation, we met, look back over at Charles again just for a second and look back at the rest of everybody. We met the new pack. They are an interesting bunch. They are here to help us. And we're grateful for having others here. But it seems that they are much more uneducated and I'm trying to find the
Sure.
word.
Assholes, litany breakers, all those things.
Right. Two of them have the mark of shame. The rest of them have their own quirky attitudes that make them difficult. One in particular, his name is Deadbeat. His name speaks to his personality. He chose to challenge at our first meet. So we are dealing with a pack who is, well, they enjoy pushing back on rules and authority.
What happened with the challenge?
Oh, Aspen did excellently. He challenged. She gave him the challenge of reciting the litany. He couldn't even get one. She got all of them in like 30 seconds.
Lucas will stand up and lean over the table and reach to high five Aspen. Come on. Come on.
She'll like softly just put her hand next to yours.
God damn, I'm proud of you for that. Good one.
Also,
Well-
something to consider, I think one's a drug addict. With the urge.
Have they even done their rite of passage? I mean, what are we? You're making it sound like they sent us children.
They have
have
their
tribes.
tribes. They have their tribes. They were sent from Michigan, as we said. They have a mentor with them to help them, and of course Charles is doing his best to get them better, I guess is the word. But they are young. We are looking at young people, not just young guru. They're very, very young.
Hey, just let me know. Broadly, let me know.
You know, if you want extra stuff on them, if they want to throw shade, just send some more feelers out. I got you.
That could potentially be.
Manual labor does wonders. So if you want to punish them by sending them out to help me, oh, I could put them to work for hours, days.
Charles, would you like to speak on this?
I went to visit them the same morning after the raid. Within 10 minutes of my arrival, I shattered Deadbeat's jaw. To prove a point more than anything else. Their training is beginning. I understand that they are uneducated, but I am going to give them an opportunity to learn. I cannot fault them for poor upbringing. Say what you will about my upbringing. It had its faults as well. I'm coming to learn that now. They will learn or they won't. This city will be the determining factor of that. I made that very clear to them. As for what you will be able to learn, Jason, there are 3 rats among them.
Goody.
Secrets may be more difficult to dig out than you might expect.
I do enjoy a challenge.
However, their mentor stakes her claim, the lupus born. She believes in them. she takes ownership of them. There's some merit to that. A lupus born does not is not easily swayed. She's a kin seeker. That much is obvious. If Gaia chose them, it's for a reason, even if it hasn't revealed itself to us just yet. I will make sure they are put through their paces. But as I said, if Pentex is here and they are pressing their advantage, if they can't catch up fast enough, we will likely lose at least one of them, if not more.
Aspen, it's probably a good idea if you keep their mentor away from me, unless you're also around. Remember, I'm not very popular among the kin seekers.
I think you have an opportunity to prove others wrong.
Yeah.
I will be there if you want me to be there, but I think that's what we do here.
Just a suggestion.
Well, good. We have reinforcements. I trust Charles to get them to a point where they become beneficial for our cause. I know that'll take some time. They're young, they have a lot to learn. I'm not detracting from them as guru. I just think they need more education before they become beneficial for our cause.
I have an assignment that I'd like to petition to take them on once I feel they are ready. There have been some further disappearances in another neighborhood. However, these have been unusual. I'm looking into it, investigating further. Where there should be bodies, there are none. Unlike other scenes where the bodies go missing, there's something strange. I'd like to look into it further and potentially bring them with me when I think they're ready.
Absolutely, if you think it's a good idea. I think, do you think you could corral them all enough to keep them safe in that situation?
At this point, you can see the smallest hint of a smile. I don't believe it'll be a problem. I will be taking them primarily to old crime scenes. There should be no imminent danger at the locations. I'd be interested to see what they see what conclusions they come to, learn what they learn.
Perfect, I think that's smart. On that note, do we have any other business we need to talk about? Good. Well then, I will travel with Jester, and Lucas, you can go with Jason to look at these sites, see what we can figure out there, bring back potential fertilizer, and we will see what we can come up with as far as that goes. There is another site. Do we want to potentially look at that one after, or do we think it's best to just look at the two and see what we can find?
How far?
Pinellas County. Cross the bridge.
I think 2/3 is a good start.
We don't know a whole lot about Across the Bridge. You and Jester went out there. That's as much as I know. I don't often go over there.
Kind of weird over there.
It is strange. I don't like spending. I've been there twice. It's not my cup of tea. I'll say that. So we'll stick to the two closest, see what we can find out. Jester, you can take Jason, go figure out some more of the plant situation. Lucas, I will love to hear the information, any information that you get from the bikers, if they've heard of anything else out there. That would be great to know. And Charles, keep up the good work with the pack.
I'll keep you updated.
Perfect.
Boss, last thing. Your hands. Jester said that you get pricked. Any infection or anything going on by the plant?
No, I feel fine. There was weird, creepy dreams, but I think the plant just creeped me out a little bit.
Wait, you had weird dreams too?
Just at that night.
Yeah, same.
Dreams of what?
Like I was being stalked or watched. It was really like they were weird, okay? I don't quite remember them anymore, but they're still kind of creeped out when I think about it. Oof.
But physically, I feel fine. Mentally, I also feel fine, besides the weird dream.
If they continue, can you let myself or Eliza know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't had any since then. Just that night, it was weird.
Kind of look towards Eliza briefly, and then back. Okay. I'm glad you guys are okay.
Well, good. I think we all have our projects.
As the pack disbands, the meeting called to an end, everyone heading their separate ways with much to consider and think about with their new assignments and new directions to head in. We transition to just after the meeting as Jester seeks out Eliza for a conversation. Jester, ever since the raid on the Leech Hive, you've been experiencing some new feelings. Something sparked within you, and you've been struggling with those feelings. Why don't you expand a little bit upon that before we begin the discussion with Eliza?
Yeah, ever since the Hive raid, Jester has been experiencing feelings of attraction towards Charles. Part of her is a little pissed that like Ryder called it out and Medusa called it out when she didn't want to admit it, but now she can't really deny it anymore that it's just friendship. But she's a little. She doesn't know what to do.
Okay. So as you're leaving the table, you see that Eliza has risen from the table and is moving over towards one of the trees across the clearing. And as she's making her way towards the tree, she's got a satchel on her hip and she's pulling various items from the satchel. Most notably, she pulls out a green stone from her satchel, and the stone has been carved into the shape of a turtle. It's been neatly carved and etched into the shape of a turtle, and she's moving towards the tree, preparing to put the turtle-shaped stone at the base of the tree. But as she feels you approaching behind her, she pauses at the base of the tree and kneels down, putting it upon one of the roots, and says, "Yes, Jester?"
Thought I'd walk you. Where is home now? Here for you.
"All around."
You just sleep all around?
Well, there's lots of comfortable places around here, but I do have a tent that I set up every now and then, and when the weather gets a little more inclement, I still do from time to time head back to the apartment. You do get used to central air, and being so far inland, it does get a little bit sticky.
Mm-hmm.
What's on your mind? I could tell by your footsteps that something's weighing you down, my dear.
How are you doing?
That's a very complicated question, but I'm well.
Yeah, you've been deep in it here a lot.
I am curious, confused, amazed, startled, worried.
What are you worried about?
To be honest, I'm worried that I'm not providing the type of guidance that I should be for all of you during this time. You're facing a very, very dangerous threat, and all I can think about is this, all of this. My mind, it wanders back to this place and the things I'm seeing, the things that I'm experiencing, the things that I'm learning. I keep hoping that I'm going to uncover some kind of secret that's going to help with everything that you're going through, but the truth is, I'm just looking at stories and visions and memories and the whispers of ghosts.
As someone who had a ghost, maybe not whispering in our head, but talking in our head for 8 months could be useful.
These are very, very old ghosts. Ghosts that
Yeah.
have been sleeping for quite a long time, longer than you and I could even comprehend.
Maybe, but I mean, you're talking to a Galliard, so stories are always useful to me, and I would love to hear some of them.
Well, I assure you, my dear, that I am more than happy to share these stories with you as soon as I can piece all of them together. Right now, it's a blur of imagery that I'm still trying to sort through. For example, right now, there's a story of of 3 brothers. The eldest, the middle, and the youngest. 3 brothers riding against a great storm. And only 2 brothers return.
Sounds interesting.
It is interesting, but sad.
Those stories tend to be.
But the story I'm most interested in, and she turns and sits on the root and leans back against the tree and then pats the root in front of her, putting her hands palm up on her knees, is yours.
I'll sit down across from her on the ground. How did you let yourself care for others after coming back from Hirano?
She smiles. Well, you didn't really give me much of a choice now, did you? Knocking down my door, pestering me.
That was a
Y'all
bit annoying.
just kept coming around no matter how much I tried to drive you away. Y'all showed me love when I was completely undeserving of it. When I was all manner of cruel to you. When I couldn't love myself. You loved me. When you didn't even know me, you valued me. You believed I had worth. When I was my most worthless. How could I not love? How could I not care? What kind of monster would I be?
Yeah.
And honestly, Jester, what life is worth living without it? What's the point of it all? What are we even fighting for, if not for the ability to? That's what I forgot. That's what Hirano is. Hirano is hopelessness. Hoglosk is ruthlessness. We forget ourselves. We forget mercy. We forget compassion. We forget love. We forget hope. And nobody can blame us. We're fighting a war that we, well, a war that we may never see the end of. Although, thanks to this, and she reaches back and touches the tree behind her head, one way or another, We will.
Do you any idea what it's like? Look to the tree afterward.
Not even a clue. I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm still back at the very beginning, like a child first opening its eyes. Bleary and confused and getting used to the light.
Well, thought I'd ask. It's just kind of scary.
Everything is, good and bad. But we do it anyway. Because if it's not scary, it's boring. And if it's boring, it's not worth doing.
Fair.
We do it for the thrill. If it makes your heart race, if it gives you that extra skip in your step, that's what makes you feel alive. That's what reminds you that you're living. That's Gaia giving you that jolt. Or you might as well be dead. That's what the leeches lost. They don't have that anymore. That's why they have a hunger that will never be sated.
It's a hunger for life.
Yes.
That oddly makes sense.
They can never get it back. That is the worm, in its very essence, corrupted. Devouring something it can never have. And never getting enough. Until it's devoured everything, and then ultimately itself. But we are not that. We can have what we want. We can have life. We can have love. We can have joy. We can have hope. And yes, sometimes that means loss. Sometimes that means heartache. Sometimes that means disappointment. That is the risk we take. But we have to get up and try again. Or we give up. I lost 10 years to giving up. 10 years I will never get back. And I'm still paying the price for those 10 years. And unfortunately, I've made you, all of y'all, pay that price as well, and I regret it terribly. But I'm never giving up again. That's why I swore myself to this Caern. That's why I swear myself to this nation. Even though it betrays everything that it is to be a stargazer, I do it anyway. Because I did give up. And I'm never giving up again.
I don't think I ever said it out loud, but I figured you knew. Thank you for finding me.
Thank you for finding me. Thank you for putting my dear son to rest. Thank you for bringing him home. She reaches up and touches the pendant around her neck.
I'll lean forward and give her a hug.
It's worth it. It's scary, but it's worth it. It hurts, but it's worth it. Because all of it can be taken away. But what's worse than that is having never had it at all and wondering.
Have you ever thought of it getting back out there? Dating scene? Pretty sure there's some like eligible cuties out there your age.
I I don't think any of them could keep up with me, darling. Besides, I get more than enough nourishment watching all y'all. Plus, I'm never alone now. Not here. Be happy. You deserve it after all you've been through. And that one, she looks across the pasture where you can see, following her gaze, Charles waiting on the other edge of the pasture. I don't think he's going anywhere. Not anytime soon.
Maybe not.
Just think about it.
I will.
I love you. You know that, right?
Of course.
And I'm always here for you. If you
I
ever
know.
need to talk. Don't make the same mistake she's making.
Yeah.
Our lives are far too short for that.
maybe I can help her fix the mistake.
You're the only one who can.
Oh, that's not a weight on my shoulders at all. I'll
Give
give
it
her
a
a kiss
shot.
on the cheek. I am. I'll give her a kiss on the cheek. I love you too.
Go on, get out of here. You're wasting time.
All right. I'll leave you to your spirits.
She smiles and leans back against the tree, letting her head lean back as she looks up at the leaves and the branches overhead. She then lets her eyes drift down to you and smiles, and she takes the turtle into her hands and closes her eyes. As you turn and walk away, crossing the pasture, what are you thinking?
A lot of what Eliza says echoes what Chloe told me and what I've been trying to live. But there's still that fear, that stupid fear.
Fear is a terrible thing. It can paralyze us. It can cripple us. And at its worst, it can even kill us. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half of our story. See you shortly. Welcome back. In the first half, the pack got together to catch up on everything that's been going on, as well as plotting a course forward. Jester also had a conversation with Eliza to go over some conflicting feelings she's had ever since she's come out of Hirano, as well as some new feelings she has towards a certain individual in the pack after a battle stoked up a certain fire within her that she hasn't felt ever since she had her fall into Hirano. But now we find ourselves in a very smoky biker bar across town. Lucas, ever since you've become a prospect, you've spent most of every free chance you've gotten at this biker bar trying to earn your stripes. Ever since you've been prospected in, you've been doing a lot of the grunt work, really trying to earn the respect of the bikers around you, whether it means mopping up oil off of the garage floor, stocking beer behind the bar, receiving shipments, doing whatever needs to be done, even if it's raking the gravel out in the parking lot just to make sure that there's no divots too deep for the wheels and tires of the bikes when they come roaring into the parking lot. And here you are, one afternoon, before everything really gets kicking up in the evening. In the bar, you and Larry, the two prospects, or at least the two youngest prospects of the club, arriving early, prepping everything for the evening's activities. Now, you've been there for about an hour at this point. The latest shipment has arrived, and the two of you are unloading all of the crates that were dropped off from the latest delivery. Beer, liquor, all in crates just being brought in to the back of the large rectangular black building through the loading bay, which is basically just roll up garage doors at the back of the building, taking them in and putting them in the coolers behind the back of the bar. Conversation has been light, easy breezy for the most part, small talk, primarily as Larry is really focused on getting things done. The kid is very business minded when it comes to prospect duties. He is going to be a good member of the club when he gets patched in. He has so much potential. You can tell he's been training for this his entire life. He was born into this club. He's going to die in this club. This club is everything to him since he was a baby. And it's all that matters to him. As you're bringing another crate from the back, the front door opens and light comes pouring in to the dark club, and you see Bruce walks in through the front door, kind of spinning some keys on his finger, pulling some sunglasses off of his face as he makes his way in, flipping on some lights and some halogen signs turn on overhead. He looks over. Early again. I like that. He sticks the keys in his pocket. How's it going, boys?
I'll reach down behind the bar, take out a glass, pull out a bottle of whiskey, and pour him a neat 2 fingers, slide it across the bar.
He arrives at the bar, sitting down on a stool, and catches it, knocks it back.
Shipment came in. We're just putting things away.
Good. Like to hear it. What's new?
Look over at Larry, look back over at Bruce. Nothing particularly interesting. Me and my friends handled a little business earlier this week.
Yeah, I heard something about a random sinkhole showing up in one of the rougher neighborhoods in town.
Yeah, I mean these companies building these cheap developments on this this not surveyed land. It's yeah, it's a shame. Shame these things happen.
It's too bad. But when the ship falls, makes room for bigger and better things to come in.
Absolutely.
It's good to see that things are starting to change again. It's been getting rough around here these last couple of weeks.
Told you that's what we were here to do, man. And don't I don't take that word lightly. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to them often. I'm definitely not gonna lie to you though. But that's neither here nor there.
Since it's just us, and I know the way these things work, at least Ryder kind of told me that there were things that I couldn't be told about. Things I wouldn't quite understand. And I get that. But there's things that obviously, if you're going to be one of us, we're going to need to know. Can I count that you're going to tell me what I need to know when I need to know it?
I'm gonna blanketly say yes. And I'm gonna tell you there's a reason why Ryder did that. I'm sure he told you the exact same thing. I'm sure he even told you there's reasons.
He did.
You know,
He
you
was
guys
also the
had
guy in charge.
That's fair. That's fair.
So he could get away with a lot more. And he could hold back whatever he wanted to hold back. And we had to be okay with it. We had to trust it. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do anything to put yourself in trouble with Blondie or Jester. They're good folk. They've been good to us ever since Ryder's passing. We got good relations there. We're not looking to muck that up. But also, we're not going to have the shit dumped on our doorway either. So, you're here. As far as I'm concerned, you're one of us. We're well on your way to being one of us. That means something. You've done good these past couple of weeks. You're showing up, you're doing it. I get that sometimes that means disappearing for a few days. That's all been well and good. That's how things used to be. I get that's how it goes. No questions, no concerns. You come back in one piece, you pick up where you left off. That's how it goes. But if there's something that's going to cause us trouble, we have a right to know. As much as we need to know. And I'm trusting you to tell us as much as we need to know.
There's a reason I'm doing this way instead of doing it, I guess the best way to put it, the way Ryder would have done it, which we both know would have been dramatically different. Is I don't want the club put into the position that you're talking about either.
How do you think Ryder did it?
I think Ryder liked to paint pictures with a shotgun instead of a brush. And that's not how I'm going to do it.
Ryder was at times very heavy-handed, it's true. But there's something about Ryder and the way he did things that we respected about him. One of the reasons we followed him as well as we did. One of the reasons we'd follow him even still, if he were still here. Anything that needed doing of the shotgun variety, of the heavy-handed variety, he did it himself, and only himself. He would never put any of us in harm's way if he could avoid it. And we respected that about him. Now, that's not to say none of us ever got hurt. That's not to say none of us ever got killed. But if we did, it's because we were willing to, never because he asked us to. So, while I understand what you're meaning, and while I understand what you're saying, I want you to understand this. He was a good leader, a great leader. And while your style might differ compared to his, the boys around here take very fondly to him. And even a slight notion that he was anything other than that won't be received well. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I've got a smart brain, but some of these boys have been kicked around like mules to the back of the head, and they're not as wise as I am. And this kid's too young to have been kicked like that. So you get my meaning.
I do. I get it.
Some of these boys have lost brothers under his watch, and willingly.
What I see and what I know about Ryder is me and him are not too far from being different. You know, he was a person raised to do things a certain way. And he learned a lot beyond the way that he was raised to do things, as far as I know. I never got the chance to grow up like a normal person. I was raised more or less as a soldier. So when you say, are you prepared to do things, or can you do things? Yeah, because I wouldn't ever ask somebody to do something that I wasn't ready to do myself. And what's going on out there, regardless of what you know or don't know, that's not the point. The point is that there's a lot of people like you and me and the people in that neighborhood where me and my friends took care of stuff that are not doing great. And nobody's going to come help them. But we can. We can take care of our own, and we can take care of them. And if we earn a little bit while we're doing it, then there's nothing wrong there, as long as they're fine and we're fine. because everybody else probably will take advantage of us and them.
Ryder was a Marine, like me. Now, I never had the pleasure of serving with him. He got out before I did, and we were in completely different units. But for some of us, serving the country didn't stop when we got out. And serving the country didn't mean serving from threats from without only. We understand the threats from within, and we understand those threats aren't limited to the normal, the expected. Now I get that I'm not going to understand the intricacies of what that means. But I know that people are getting hurt. I know that people are getting killed. I know that people are getting preyed upon. And that I don't abide. We've never been okay with that. Once upon a time, this club went through some hard times before Ryder came around. He took care of that, cleaned it up, put it on the right path. That's why you don't exactly see drugs coming around this place.
It's good.
We're going to do what needs being done. Now, again, we're going to be smart about it. You didn't see us going out at night a lot. That was one of Ryder's rules. Unless, we were going with him on very specific jobs. And usually he kind of had us doing perimeter work. Or drop and dash. Now you seem like you do a lot of strategy, paintbrush stuff. And if that's the kind of stuff you're talking about, we can work with that. And we're willing to assist when needs assisting. But you're a prospect, so it can't come from you, you understand. But you have my number.
I get it. I get it.
But again, I need more. I need to know more than Ryder was telling me. At least a little bit. Now you can talk with Blondie. You can talk with Jester, and you can figure out what that more entails, so you're not getting in trouble. Because I know Ryder didn't really have anybody to answer to. He was a lone wolf, as he liked to say. And that's not the case anymore, it seems. But if that's the case, you tell me what I need to know and what I can't tell others. But if I know, I can at least gauge what I can tell them.
I'll go talk to her. See what she thinks about it. The relationship between the club and them needs to be watertight. And I'll give you this. There is a war that's been going on for a really long time. Long time. And like you said, just because you're out doesn't mean you stop. For us, there is no out and there is no stop. We're born into it, we die in it. And the stakes are everything. Everything. And we just want to do what we can. I'm sure with Ryder not telling you everything, we have rules, we have laws, but also it's so big. Not everybody can wrap their head around it that easily. So I'll talk to Aspen and see about at least you having a conversation between you, me, and probably her. Probably Jester too. I think that's fair to her. She's been hanging around the club a long time. She's got a good connection with Ryder. She deserves to be part of that conversation too.
I swear sometimes when I'd hear her talk, she almost sounded like him. I almost thought they were sleeping together for a while.
Yeah, she told me a lot about him. That's where I got all my stories from. So I don't think that was the case, but
Hey, I'm not to judge. Though he had kind of like a, weird ground beef face going on. Guy was a stack of pancakes.
we both know, she has a type. So,
yeah, the suit. Never gonna explain that to me. I don't get that.
Yeah, this is a whole nother conversation. Maybe we'll get to that, but yeah, that guy.
Although Will won't shut up about her.
Like I said, the good-looking one. She's got a type, like that's her thing. It's fine.
Well, he's gotten real quiet about her since the last time she visited.
Well, Charles was here too. He has that effect on people. He's a teddy bear. He's a teddy bear. You should talk to him sometime. He's a teddy bear. You'll love him.
Sure. Take your word for it.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big goddamn guy. But yeah, I'll have that conversation and we'll talk about more.
You just let us know how to fight better when we need to fight. That's a start.
Oh, I can absolutely teach you that. I'll teach you everything that they taught me. So this gun stuff, it's not going to do you much good.
Yeah, we've heard that.
Yeah, so I'd recommend each one of the boys pick up a good knife.
That's a start. How's the bike treating you?
It's an adjustment.
I bet. No more trucks for you.
No. It needed to go. The truck needed to go, but the adjustment is.
We were gonna make fun if you kept rolling with that around here.
No, I figured that out real quick. There was no getting around that one. The biggest thing is the bugs in the face. Like that's the worst. That is the absolute worst part of it.
You get your protein. Open your mouth long enough, you get a good intake of protein.
You catch a beetle at 70 miles an hour. You feel that.
You do.
That's awful.
You do.
But yeah, I'm getting used to the bike. Not that much of a transition, but I wish I would have had one a lot sooner. They do come in handy.
They do. Gets you in and out of traffic quickly if you need to. Good way to lose a tail too.
Absolutely. So I remember I talked to you about business when we spoke last week. Just kind of an overview on that. I know I can't bring things to the table yet, but I made friends with former family man downtown. I'll say that. A family that's not too popular anymore. Similar ideals. Doesn't want to deal in drugs. Has more of an honor system than some of the scumbags that are out here, and has a interest in moving guns. And moving things and security are things I think we might be good at.
A family type, huh?
Yeah.
The local family, they ain't shit around here lately.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. They would like, before doing business, a favor. And that favor involves heading up to New York and paying a visit to somebody who came into their yard and pissed all over it.
That could bring trouble.
They specifically requested nothing too dramatic and to not let it get back to them. But you're not wrong.
There's also the family from south of the border kind of claims this area.
I keep hearing that, but I've not met or run into any of them yet.
They are not shy. I'll put it that way. We have been lucky enough to fly under their radar, but I have known a few who have not been so lucky, especially when there was some trouble a couple years back with some family types that came down. They went swinging their piece around, gobbled up a few small groups in the process, or ran them out of town, or put them in the ground. Or, well, some of them just disappeared, likely floating out somewhere.
Sounds like the same story they told me.
That's a hornet's nest, but if done right and delicately, with a paintbrush, it's possible. But we got to take it real slow. It's not something we can pursue this second.
That's fair. That's fair.
But we can talk. At the very least. What do they want to start talking? You said they want something from up north. They want to make a statement.
Yeah, they want to send a message to not go, like I said, pissing in other people's territory. That's really it.
I got an idea. It's from our side of doing things. It's not necessarily the family way of doing things, at least not from what I've seen in movies. It's more of a Sons of Anarchy thing.
Okay.
Few of us go for a ride up the coast. Head up to their neck of the woods. And, you know, have a party. maybe at one of their fancy restaurants, and just get a little bit too drunk. We'll pay, of
Oh.
course, but
Wow.
it takes a while to clean that kind of stuff up.
I have always wanted to see New York.
Think they'll let you go for a weekend?
Let is such a strong word. They know that I might have some business up in New York, so if this benefits the club, and while I'm up there I can reach out and talk to some other people too, then yeah, I think I could swing it.
Well, we got some colors from an old club that we used to have beef with. We don't have to fly our own flag. Maybe we do a little bit of that undercover work.
I like it. It's a good plan.
Think that'll make your family man happy?
It sends a message and it shows them that we have reach, and that we deliver on our promises.
All right. Then let's do business. At least start negotiations. I don't need one of mine getting in with anybody and making deals that they can't follow up on. At least we can seal this and then see where we go from there.
Do you want me to arrange a meet between them and you? Or
After this, let's get this done first.
okay.
Show them that you have backup in case they're looking to take advantage of you.
That'd be a very poor choice on their half, but
Oh, I'm sure it would, but they don't know what I know.
that's true statements.
Or maybe they do. This would be a good way to test.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point.
We
Okay.
don't know who knows what. We need to.
Don't know what we don't know. Okay.
That's right.
All right, I'm gonna finish the unloading. Do you got anything else for me today?
Nah, get back to work.
All right.
As you head to the back, he grabs the bottle from behind the bar and pours himself another drink. What are you thinking after this meeting with Bruce?
Lucas has always operated in the margins, and he's often found himself in a position where he made people unhappy with what he's doing. So it's a little strange working with people that see things the way he sees things and want to do things the way that he wants to do them. So he's a little off by it, but he's excited to get this whole thing moving.
New possibilities, new opportunities. Maybe this can work out after all, to your advantage. Maybe the underground has opportunities. Maybe the mafia plan wasn't a bad one after all. Maybe Aspen can be right and wrong at the same time, and maybe you're the one to prove it to her. We transition now to the next day, where Jason, Dreams in Decay, Thorn, meets with Eliza Ross, two theurges, having a conversation about spirits and uncovering some deeply hidden secrets in a very, very unusual place. Jace, ever since you've arrived in Tampa, things have been unusual, to say the very least. You come from Columbus, Ohio. Some would say a very kind of traditional setting in terms of a nation cairn, a nation sept. In Tampa, this has not been traditional. And now you're meeting with a stargazer, which is a first, to say the very least. A stargazer who is not only in contact with the local sept, but is a part of the local sept. So as you are arriving at the cairn to meet with Eliza, for the first time one-on-one, to have a conversation, to potentially do some spiritual business, for your first of what could be many interactions and gatherings, what are you thinking going into this interaction? What are you feeling going into this interaction?
Strangely enough, especially for being a bone knight, he feels a little dirty, but like the wrong kind. Like he is very much nation. That's what he was brought up in, as far as when he became guru, and was told that these are the ones that you can talk to, and then there are ones outside, and you don't really need to associate them. You stay within the nation. But this individual seems to have a lot of knowledge, and that makes him hungry to want to know all the things that she's been here before this other pack's been here. So she has all these secrets, all this additional knowledge that he just wants to tap into, but he doesn't know how to go about it and still be nation and still hold that part of Bonar. But he was told, don't pry too much. And that was asked by him by Eliza, like, hey, I know who you are. I know the rat. Try not to do that within the pack. But he wants those secrets. He wants them so bad.
Okay. So as you approach the clearing, entering into the clearing, you move towards the center of the clearing, and you look around, and at first Eliza's nowhere to be seen. But as you trace your eyes along the edge of the clearing, you eventually spot her positioned beneath one of the many trees that stand sentinel around the edge of the clearing. And at the base of the tree, it looks like she's spread out a large picnic blanket in the shade of the tree. And she sits with a sundress splayed out beneath her at the base of the tree. And in front of her, she has 3 miniature figurines set out in front of her. And she seems to be studying the 3 figurines, her knees propped up, her elbows on her knees, and her chin positioned on her hands.
Well, Miss Ross, I don't know if you're much into like playing with action figures or something, but usually you hold them in your hand to interact with them.
Well, Jace, if this were any mere action figures or dolls, I assure you it would be far less mysterious to me. As you look down at the 3 figurines she has splayed out in front of her, one of them is a black marble figurine of a horned serpent. Another one is a green stone figurine of a turtle. And the third appears to be a white stone figurine, but it is very unusual because it seems to be just a carving of almost like a gust of wind. She looks down at the figurines and then looks up at you. Do you recognize these?
I'm gonna take a wild guess. Triad?
No.
Strats.
The Horned Serpent is a patron. But a patron of what?
I have no idea.
The Ghost Council.
Okay.
This figurine, she points to the gust and picks it up in her hand, represents the Northern Wind. The Northern Wind is the patron of whom?
I got my education doesn't go too far outside of what I'm used to. I'm sorry.
The Gale Stalkers, and that's quite all right. Please sit down. She
Thank you.
gestures to the blanket in front of her.
I'll take a seat.
And this one, she points to the turtle. The turtle. The mystery. Ever since this Cairn awoke, I have been dreaming of a story. A story of 3 brothers. The eldest, she points to the horned serpent. The youngest, she points to the northern wind. And the middle, she points to the turtle. These are the 3 patrons of the Americas. From before our time. From before the Europeans crossed the ocean. From the time of the natives. But I have never heard of the turtle patron. In all my years, in all the teachings, in everything I have learned, and I have learned a great deal. It's not just wrinkles on my face after all. I had never heard of the turtle. I had never encountered the turtle. I've spoken to turtle spirits, certainly. But a patron? No. In this story, 3 brothers went to oppose a storm. She pushes the 3 figurines forward. Only 2 brothers returned. She pulls the gust of wind and the horned serpent back. The storm was gone. And with it, she picks up the turtle. So too was the middle brother.
Interesting.
We know to this day that the Ghost Council, the Horned Serpent, still remains. In fact, one walked amongst us, my last protege.
I got glimpses of him from Jester. He left after Caern was done.
Joseph, yes. And the gust of wind, the gale stalkers. One of them rests here now. But many still roam the north. And then she holds up the turtle figurine. But where are the turtles? I have never met, nor have I heard of, any who call the turtle patron. Until now. Until here. This place I could not even begin to comprehend the importance of this place. I knew it was important. I knew it was old. But this place, there's history here.
I was told by Rat before actually coming in here that I will feel this place before actually walking in. And yeah, this place is, I've been in some, the sept back home is strong. This one's strong in a good, different way. The power that resides here is something I've never experienced.
Yes. That's why it was important. That's why it needed to awaken. I know that the future will judge the actions that were taken here, and that many won't understand why it needed to happen. But it did. Because if we continue to make the mistakes of the past is doomed to repeat itself. And we have made many mistakes, and we are getting nowhere in this war.
It's fair.
We need to learn more. What did the turtle do? It struck a major blow. But how? And why? And against whom?
In your dream, you went up against a storm, right?
I could not see the storm, but yes.
Storms roll through here pretty often.
Yes.
I personally have not interacted with many storms in my past, but if something like that, especially spirits have long memory, you could always just pose a question. See if anything gleams from it. If anything's going to know about a patron, it's going to be other spirits. They're going to have, though that knowledge will be passed through. Trying to get them to talk about it, especially the spirits here, to talk about anything is difficult. But I think it'd be worth a shot.
I agree. And now that there are two of us, two voices instead of just one, and the potential for a third, maybe they will hear us. Maybe they will listen.
I can be pretty persuasive. The spirits I've ran into so far, they like to interact with favor for a favor kind of thing. They want something in return.
They know your
Which is-
patron too well.
They do.
They know who they're dealing with.
Yeah, I get called out pretty often by them.
But enough of my rambling. She gathers up the figurines and puts them into her satchel. Tell me about yourself. Dreams in Decay. That is a very, very specific moniker.
Yeah. Well, guess I can tell you on how that came to be. Before my becoming guru, I was on the different side of things. I enjoyed my secrets. I enjoyed using them for an overall currency. I got into bad group, saw the errors in their way, and started pushing them towards justice in a sense. Shortly after that, I had become almost like plagued by these constant reoccurring nightmares. A city engulfed in crimson and black storms, uh, screams deep within a place I didn't understand. I was constantly running to the cries of people that seemed to need help. I could never get to them. And this happened for years. I still to this day, I don't get a whole lot of sleep. A couple years go by. I meet my well, I get my bar up and going up in Columbus. Then I meet Denton. He's the one who Mike and Secret and the pack leader back home. He and Grat sought me out. And when I became Guru, that's when my nightmares became more. I started seeing more and more. And it was never just these happy things, that these dreams of things where the nightmare starts and it eventually gets better, you break through. Mine are always the same. A city surrounded in darkness and cries of help. And as I got more in touch with the spirits, I started understanding their overall cries, what they were needing. The nightmares were the key to helping things in Columbus. The different areas in which these nightmares took place were the areas I needed to go. And that's what my pack utilized my dreams for, is going and seeing what needed to be helped. And that's when Olivia, she's our galliard there, came up with the name Dreams in Decay. What I thought were nightmares are dreams, because they are utilized to help someone. Just because I'm plagued by something of horror, I'm able to help those get out of those situations.
Eliza contemplates as she watches your face, nodding slowly. That's a heavy burden. Before I was one of the stargazers, before I left the nation, I had a name as well. I was a child of Gaia, and the tribe gave me a name at one of the tribe moots, a great gathering. We traveled all the way to Kansas, which most would say is not an ideal place to visit, but for our purposes it is, because it is a place where most would ignore. So a big gathering of Guru in the fields of Kansas goes relatively unnoticed. The children of Gaia came from all over the world to gather. And I remember I was 20 years old. I had only been a guru for 2 years at that point. Still barely a pup. I had only been a child of Gaia for maybe 18 months. But I too had dreams. Not as vivid as yours. Mine were whispers, sometimes singing, sometimes crying. And when I explained these dreams to the elders of the tribe at the moot, they gave me the name Herald of Gaia.
Solid name.
It was. Until I left. And then it was stripped from me. And I was dubbed Gaia's Falsehood.
Another heavy name.
Well, I prefer Eliza.
I'll call you Eliza. Or Miss Ross, whichever one you prefer.
Eliza's fine.
You got it. Well, if I may ask, why'd you leave?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Try me.
She told me to.
So you follow as you are told to do by a greater spirit, by someone higher than the sept, right?
In a way, a voice that's never led me wrong. A voice that has always told me the truth. A voice that has never lied. A voice that has always wanted what was best. A voice that taught me everything I know. A voice that brought me to this place. Showed me this place. If that's not Gaia, then what is it?
That is a question around the moot sometimes. It gets brought up from time to time. It's usually kiboshed by the elders pretty quick, though.
Of course. And I'm not going to say what's wrong and what's right. I don't judge those who stay with the nation. That is not the Stargazer way. We believe in balance. The nation needs to exist, just as the dancers need to exist, just as Fenris needs to exist, just as the Weaver, the Worm, and the Wild need to exist. But they need to be balanced, and that balance does not exist. The balance needs to be restored. And what the nation believes is not in balance. They believe in the total and utter destruction of the worm. How can nature exist with the destruction of the worm?
You're right.
Combat the worm wherever it dwells. Not all of the worm is infected. I have seen that firsthand. So you would combat the healthy worm just doing what it is always meant to do. That is not balance.
All three have to exist.
Yes.
As a theurge, I think it's easier for us to understand that aspect. I try to I try to understand where the other auspices come from, but I, in a sense, agree with you. But there are parts of the worm that shouldn't be around, though.
Oh, most certainly. I watched an entire sept fall prey to a part of the worm that need not exist. And part of it, a great part of it, was my fault. I preached caution for far too long.
Were you the lone voice in that?
Some would say so. Whether that's true or not. But I was the outsider.
So that sept fell because of you. And then what?
And then I fell with it. I do believe that the worm must be combated. The corrupted worm, which is almost like a fourth entity altogether. Outside of the worm itself. Almost like a cancer that needs to be cut out from the worm as it should be.
Do the others here agree with that?
I think it's why I'm still here. It's why they let me be here. It's why they continue to hear my voice in my council and allow me to sit here like a teenager at Woodstock, staring at these trees all day.
They are really cool. Like they are magnificent.
It's why they put faith in me and believed in me when I asked them to take a leap of faith. I don't claim to know everything. That'd be a folly, a fool's errand. Nobody knows everything. But if everything we've done so far is failing, why not try something else? What do we have to lose? This new nation that Matthias Morningkill speaks of, that Aspen is trying to create, they listen to voices like ours, where the old nation would have us be silent unless absolutely necessary, unless called upon for certain matters. That's probably a nation I would have never left.
When you left, did you find other ones, other stargazers?
Oh, certainly. There were a few of us. Some have peacefully walked away from the wolf altogether. Others have passed on, as you do eventually. And some continue to walk this planet. Some even walked into the Umbra, may still be walking it for all I know.
It's a good walk.
It is. But there are fewer and fewer of us, as there are Guru in general.
We got a whole new pack that rolled in, apparently.
Yes, I've heard.
That should be interesting.
I do look forward to meeting them. I think it will be very interesting, to say the least. Bunch of rabble rousers.
Yeah, a few other of of mine being there will be interesting.
Indeed. I have always enjoyed the presence of Rat.
He's a bit nosy, but yeah.
He's a good conversationalist. Always keeps you on your toes.
Or yells at you to go to a place that isn't your home. But yeah.
Everywhere is your home, Jace. Everywhere. Just because it's not the same few square miles when we are Theurge, it's all our home. Because it's all Gaia. It's all the Umbra. It's all the same spirit, the same place. And if we do our work well, you and I can make home a lot closer. Because I am close to unlocking moon bridges at this here Caern.
That would be more beneficial in a lot of ways. Wow.
I need your help. You know your home better than I do. I was never a fan of Ohio, no offense.
Most people aren't.
But if we can get a stone from your Caern's fire in exchange for one from here, perhaps we can make a connection and home won't seem so far away.
I'd like that.
I'm sure you would. I'm glad you're here, Jace. You
I'm
may
glad I'm here
think
too.
you dream in decay, but what you actually do is prevent it. And that is a beautiful thing. You are a warning signal.
Thanks, Eliza.
Thank you.
As far, yeah, real quick. Looks around real quick. All right, still within. Has there been an issue with Pentex in the time that you've been here at all?
The last issue we had with Pentex was why the old Cairn fell. Was
Right.
why the old sept fell. The dances. I was happy to see that issue resolved, but the cost was great. To see them emerging like this, I mean, it's like Charles said, they've been here, I'm sure, working in small ways as they always do. But now, if they are moving in such strength and force, making another push like this, that's dangerous. Very dangerous. And that could mean something very bad is coming, and we must act quickly. Or it could simply mean that this is just a place for their experiments.
I don't like people experimenting with my home.
Neither do I. Now let's see what we can do about getting in touch with some carrion crows. Shall we?
Yeah, corn, I think they like, if I remember that right.
Corn. Well, maybe you can give me a ride out to the market and we can see if we can get some corn.
You okay? Oh, yeah, you're fine with bikes. Yeah, let's go. I remember. Okay.
She stands up and brushes off the back of her dress and gathers up her satchel and reaches out to take your arm. Shall we?
Extends it out. Let's go out to the market. And
The two of you head out, crossing the clearing towards where your bike is parked. What are you thinking now following this interaction with Eliza as you cross the clearing?
he got questions answered, but there's a lot more now. The homesickness that he has been feeling, talking with Eliza kind of eases that a little bit, especially hearing about the moon bridge. But the whole issue with Pentex is something he can't quite shake even from his brain, that there's an issue going on here that he needs to dive deeper into because he doesn't want what happened previously to repeat itself. So he's going to do what he has to make sure that doesn't happen. If he is the warning signal, and make sure there's plenty of warning before it actually happens.
Can Jason be the warning, and does that warning come in time? Only time will tell. In our final scene of the evening, we find ourselves in the woods, where we find Aspen in lupus form, a lone white wolf prowling through the woods with only one goal in mind. A goal that she's had for several weeks. A goal that has gone unfulfilled. To catch a rabbit. In times gone past, this goal would have been for sport, for fun, to appease a friend, to spend time with a friend. But now it's become much, much more than that. It's become a coping mechanism. Aspen, as you prowl through the woods on all fours, blocking out any other thoughts, any other notions, any other feelings, making yourself cold to the world, trying to not let that same frustration creep in that always does after hours and hours of trying to get that fresh kill that was supposed to come daily, but hasn't even come once yet. Roll me a wits and survival check.
Two.
2 successes. With your snout low to the ground, you sniff at the grass, and eventually you pick up the scent. It's fading, so you know that the rabbit was here, but only recently, and has moved since. But locking into that scent, you follow it, sneaking behind, trying to stay close. Knowing from everything that Aiden taught you, you need to stay low, you need to stay quiet. One wrong move, even if you haven't seen it yet, is all it would take to send it running. If it hears you, if it smells you, if it sees you, it's gone. And they are fast. And from trial and error from the past several weeks, you've done almost all of those things wrong at least once, maybe multiple times. So roll me a dexterity and stealth.
One.
As you try to get down low, sneaking along, you move into the deep forest, getting through the brush. And as you approach, clearing the brush, the smell gets thicker and thicker, denser and denser. And just as you're about to clear the bushes, where it's the thickest scent possible, snap! There goes the branch underneath your paw. Instantly, you hear the skittering of the rabbit taking off from the bush just beneath you as it goes running off into the distance. Roll me a dexterity and athletics to give chase.
Three.
Okay. Giving chase, digging your paws and claws into the dirt. You run, flinging dirt up behind you, running behind the rabbit as much as possible. You're hot on its trail, but it is just slightly out of reach, not close enough for your jaws to snap down on top of it. With one leap, you try to leap down on top of it. Give me a strength and brawl to try and grab your claws on top of it.
Three.
As you try to grab down on it with your claws, it stops short, sending you tumbling over it, rolling down, colliding head over heels, down, rolling until you turn around, spin around to face it. And when you go to look, roll me a wits and awareness to see if you can see it.
Zero.
It's gone.
She'll just like continue to look, and then she's just gonna like huff to herself and just lay down just for a second.
Meanwhile, Jester, also out in the woods, but for a very different purpose, as it is your job to patrol the woods around the cairn on this particular day. You hear a great kerfuffle out in the woods, running, paws digging into the dirt, followed by a great collision, and then quiet. As you move to investigate the noise, also down in your lupus form, you peer into a slight ditch in the ground where you see a white wolf laid out, now covered in a little bit of mud and leaves and dirt, frustratedly plopped on the ground, huffing.
Is sit, watch for a moment. Then I'll shift back into Hamid. Evening.
She'll whip her head around, thinking she's the only one out there because she can't find anything in the woods. But she'll like whip her head around and her ears will go back and she'll stand up.
You okay?
At that point, she'll shift back into Hamid and just like sit on the ground. Try and dust off some of the mud that's on her person. Yeah, I was just going around, trying to catch a rabbit, seeing what I could do.
You're not usually the hunting type.
Not usually. It's, I don't know, it's become an interest of mine, I guess. Trying to do the wolf thing.
Okay. Have you caught any yet?
Look down at her muddy clothes, her white tank top and shorts. No, I'm actually pretty terrible at it.
Would you like some help?
What are you doing out here?
Patrolling, avoiding feelings. You know, usual when you're in lupus. Enjoying the wind in my fur.
Avoiding feelings, huh?
Don't we all?
I guess.
So, you want to help catching a rabbit?
Sure.
Okay. No, one of the good ways is to find possible entrance to the burrows. But if they smell you, they're probably going to move quickly.
Don't I know it?
Actually, that kind of reminds me of a story. Would you like to hear it?
One of your stories? Absolutely.
Technically, it's not mine. I actually remember it from a movie that my dad and I watched when I was a kid. He kind of made me watch it. It's very traumatic, but the story was good. It's a kind of like a myth, sort of that was surrounding the whole thing. So it's starts out that there was this god of animals who also happened to be the sun, um, and he made everything like the stars and the world, um, and all the animals. And at first, all the animals the on the world were the same, like, and they were all friends with each other and happy and like everything. And there was plenty of grass and flies because the world was new, and the god Frith shone down bright and warm all day. Um, that was until the Prince of Rabbits decided to have so many children that they spread across the world and ate all the grass and the plants. And so the god told the prince, "You need to control your children." And he didn't listen. So the god decided to call all the animals into a meeting, one by one, and he gifted them. And to the fox and the weasel, he gave cunning. To the cat, he gave silent feet. To the wolf, he gave fierce, great teeth. And with all of them, he gave them a hunger to hunt rabbits. When the Prince of Rabbits learned this, he dug a hole to try to hide himself from the creatures. And when Frith asked the prince if he did not want his gift, the prince said he could bless his bottom, for he was busy digging a hole to hide. So the god gifted the Prince of Rabbits with a white tail to confuse his enemies, and legs to outrun them. He also granted ears so he could hear his enemies. And he said, "In all the world will be your enemy, Prince of 1,000 enemies. And whenever they catch you, they will kill you. But they have to catch you first." So really, like, yeah, the movie was called Watership Down, but like it was always an interesting myth. Kind of told like, rabbits are quick, they're cunning, and they hear well. So
So we blame the sun for me not able to catch a rabbit.
yeah,
Good. Good. Always been more of a night person anyways.
right.
Till,
But we should be quiet and cunning. We should be able to catch a rabbit. Come on.
we have those teeth things that apparently the
Mhm.
sun gave us also. So
I'll shift back into Lupus. Nod my head for her to follow.
I'll shift also.
Dropping down onto all fours, the fur once again spreading across your arms, your hands becoming paws, your senses becoming sharp and aware as you fall low to the ground. You try once again to pick up the scent. Jester, as you take lead this time, with Aspen's assistance, whatever it may be, go ahead and roll a wits and survival.
Okay. 4 successes.
It takes some time. You know that staying in this general vicinity, considering everything that's happened, considering Aspen's recent attempt and all the noise and the conversation, probably wouldn't be a good place to start. So the two of you in tandem move away from this location, moving further into the woods, further away from the cairn. You move away towards a river nearby, the Hillsborough River. You move across the water, trying to get rid of some of your scent, using some of those teachings that Aiden gave you as well. How to be a better hunter, how to track your prey, how to stay downwind, how to use every advantage you could get from nature. Crossing to the other bank, you start moving from downwind up along the bank. Staying close to the water, you eventually catch the scent as it blows towards you. Moving away from the bank, you move inland, following the scent. It grows more and more dense as you get closer. This time, it's your turn to go into stealth. You can use Aspen's assistance once again, but as you are taking lead, you'll be able to pick the path that she will follow. Therefore, your role will dictate for both of you how stealthy you are.
Seven with a crit.
Silent as can be, picking a perfect path, avoiding brushing up against any of the bushes, against any tree, making sure that the wind is still blowing towards you, staying downwind of the scent. You move, circling around the source of the scent, making sure not to lose track of it, making sure it's still blowing towards you. Aspen, you stay on Jester's heels, staying close behind her. This sensation of the hunt, following Jester, it's familiar, uncomfortably familiar, but also comfortable, as if something could be uncomfortable and comfortable at the same time. Jester, moving forward, you feel the direction of the scent change, meaning that you have circled to the other side of it. You know that you've moved around, so it is likely in the center of where you've come from. You have essentially cut it off from the direction that it was going. Roll me a wits and awareness. In fact, both of you can roll on this one, no assistance required.
I rolled max, which is 2.
4.
Okay. Jester, you're the one to spot it. Aspen, you are still looking when Jester locks on to the rabbit. The rabbit is currently under a bush, seems to be chewing on some grass from beneath the bush, just out of Aspen's line of sight, but you are able to see it because of that fluffy white little tail amidst the branches of the bush.
I will lay very still, but like slowly check to see if Aspen sees it.
She seems to be still scanning around, looking, trying to find it.
I'll nose her gently, and then like point my nose in the direction of the rabbit.
With Jester's direct line of sight as you follow her vision, Aspen, you can also lock on to the little white ball amidst the gnarled branches of the bush buried beneath to locate the rabbit. And that's when the scent hits you as well, guiding the rest of your sight towards it.
She'll look over to Jester, look back at it, trying to stay low, trying not to let her tail go too much.
So I'm going to nose her, then nose the ground, and then point to it like, you go this way. And then I'm gonna nod, like, kind of just be like, move my head, kind of saying like, I'm gonna cut it off.
She'll give you a nod of acknowledgement and creep a little bit forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna move into a position where like I can try to cut it off if it tries to escape.
Okay. So using the same stealth roll, Jester, I'll let you sneak around to the opposite angle of it until you're both flanking on either side of it. Aspen, as you are slowly crawling forward, make me another stealth check. Just you. I will let you get the assistance from Jester on this one, but since you are taking primary lead on this, it's your stealth check.
4.
You are able to get into position nice and close to the bush. It does not seem to have noticed you yet, as you are still nicely positioned downwind, since Jester gave you the opportune positioning to sneak up on this thing.
Okay. I'm gonna get as close as I think I can, like thinking back to Aiden's kind of suggestions. And then when I feel like I'm close enough, I'm gonna rear back and I'm gonna try and pounce.
Okay. Getting into position. You get low. You feel the muscles in your legs tense as you kind of rear back, preparing to pounce. And then springing forward, give me a strength and brawl. Four successes. Okay. Pouncing on it, since you had that stealth check and you got the surprise, it only had a difficulty 1, so you pounce on it, and almost immediately your claws dig down into it, and it gives out that high-pitched squeal of alarm as it tries to wriggle free. And it does so, but not without taking a bunch of fur and flesh from your claws with it as you rake it, and some of the blood comes from the sides of it as it wriggles free and starts to take off, but it is horrendously injured, running in Jester's general direction. Jester, it is coming towards you. You can take an attack on it as well.
Okay.
It is no longer surprised, though, so it will get to defend against you.
Right. I'll spend a willpower. 3 successes?
3 successes. You go to pounce, and it, upon seeing you, wheels around and manages to spin, avoiding your pounce as your paws hit the dirt, and it tries to turn and run away, opposite direction from both of you, towards the side, causing both of you to have to give chase towards it. Next round of combat, declare both of your intentions.
I'm just running towards it now, trying to pounce on it.
Okay. That's a strength and brawl from you. Jester.
I want to assist her.
Okay. Aspen, just give me a strength and brawl with an extra die.
I'm going to spend a willpower.
Okay.
Four.
4 successes. Once again, you pounce upon it, claws digging in. This time, however, you pin it with the claws, pounding it to the ground and holding it down. It squeals and wriggles underneath your claws, but it's unable to get out from the weight of your paws pressing down upon it. One last round. Declare your intention.
I'm going to bite its neck to get it to stop.
Okay, give me a strength and brawl. Last attack.
I don't know if I can assist. Maybe like point out a good spot or
Uh,
something.
no, but the difficulty is very, very low because it can't
Okay.
move. So
I will
anything
just sit
over
back.
1, she's gonna get.
Okay, I will just sit back and watch.
I rolled a 3.
Okay, so with a quick bite, you bite down, and it lets out one last screech before it falls silent and drops limp.
She's just going to sit on her hindquarters and just stare at it.
As the adrenaline runs through your body, your heart pounding in your chest, you can still feel the warm blood in your mouth. You feel the hunt. You feel the thrill. You feel that animalistic instinct, the part of you that is wolf. That unsatiated urge that you've had ever since you've turned, the one that you've ignored, the one that you've refused, even though you've accepted what you are for the most part. There's still something in you when you don't acknowledge it that is frustrated. Something that Aiden knew, having come from that side of things. Something that more seasoned guru needs to get out. Something that you're learning needs to get out. You need to run. You need to hunt. It's a part of the balance of spirit, of human, of wolf. And this is why wolves hunt in packs. This is why you hunted with Aiden. This is why you always caught your prey. But you're never going to be able to do that with him again.
She's going to look over at Jester and pick up the rabbit and just kind of like look at her to follow. And she's just going to start walking.
I'll trot behind her.
Moving through the trees, rabbit dangling from your mouth. Feels heavy. It's a prize well caught, and the adrenaline allows you to carry it. But it does feel heavy, and every now and then you feel yourself sag a little bit, and you can feel it drag on the ground, but you find the determination and will to lift your head up, raise it off the ground. Where are you headed?
Closer to the cairn. Not like into the cairn, but just closer.
It was quite a bit of distance, but you do make the journey. And eventually you find yourself drawing near because you feel that spiritual presence press against you, almost bringing you in pulling you in, almost embracing you and welcoming you, as if you've arrived. You know you've entered into the bawn of the cairn. You're not quite at the edge of the clearing, but you know that you are in the territory.
Yeah, once she gets close enough, she's just gonna kind of drop the rabbit, look over to Jester, and then switch back.
I'll switch back too. Good job.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, we did.
Thanks for your help. I've gotta get better at that.
It takes some practice, but you know, if you keep at it, we keep at it, you know, I can teach you some things. Hayden taught me a few things. First
Yeah.
one, when you're trying to stalk them or when you try to go downwind so they can't smell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm just not great at it. I just
Practice.
never been very good at it. But anyways, you said avoiding your feelings. What are you doing out here? My stuff's done, so it's your turn.
Fair. Kind of realized I have some feelings for Charles. Not
Mhm.
sure what to do, honestly.
Well, what do you want to do?
Tell him?
Sure, that's a good idea.
I don't think I'd be avoiding my feelings if I thought it was a good idea.
Fair enough. Makes sense while you're out here then.
I mean, I don't know. I talked to Eliza and she was pretty much like, don't give up on living. So she's in the mind I should go for it. Just, you know, this part of it feels too soon after everything.
I guess I understand what Eliza is saying. But on the other hand, people leave. I mean, that confused look on your face. Look at I don't know, Lucas lost what? His best friend, I guess is how we see that. Doing this. I mean, before we were this, right? Did Lucas have family? He never really talks about him. I don't think Jason had really anybody. He sounds like he was just more of a street kid. I mean, I know your story. I don't, well, I mean, my dad left before I was even born. So you put that on top of being a guru, that was just us as people. You look at everybody who's, well, gone now, right?
You know Artie's coming back, right? He promised he'd come back.
He promised a lot of things, so. But regardless, I mean, Leon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what happened to me. Aiden.
So you're saying it's not worth it? Do you regret? Do you regret what you had with Artie? Do you honestly think he won't come back? This is Artie we're talking about.
We'll see. But all that aside, Aiden won't. Leon won't. Anyways, I guess what I'm saying is just be careful.
Aspen.
Yeah.
In a way, Aiden's still here. And you can talk to him. He may not be able to respond back, but you can talk to him. I know he's not here, and I get it. It's not the same. But
Yeah. Well, I've got to bring him a rabbit.
you know he doesn't need that anymore, right? He's now a spirit. He doesn't need to what's the word? I can't believe it. I am forgetting words now. He doesn't need to appease spirits. He is one now.
Well, it's our job to appease spirits, right?
So you're gonna appease him.
With your help, because I wasn't doing a very good job before.
Well, if you need more help, just call me or text.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to go on hunts with you.
Yeah, I'd like that. That'd be nice. But that is a possibility, right?
Yeah, I know.
We're a lot less like the wolf in your story and a lot more like the rabbit. We've got enemies everywhere, and you never know when the last time you're going to see somebody is.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know.
As long as you know, I guess.
No, there's something else about my story you should consider. I watched the movie with my dad. It's one of the good memories I have that I keep. Don't forget those good memories of Aiden or Artie. Don't let the pain block them from you.
Yeah, but it doesn't really change much, does it?
Happiness is fleeting, Aspen. It's never permanent.
But sadness is.
No, it's not. Trust me, it's not. Only if you let it be. Only if you sit in it.
Well, let me, get off my pity pot. Anyways, do you want to go watch that movie? I've never seen it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I told you it's like dark and traumatic. I think there's a show on Netflix that actually did a remake. Yeah, let's go watch it.
Okay. You want to drop off this rabbit with me?
Sure.
Okay.
Probably put something in it. Liza's gonna kick our ass if we just leave rotting things there.
He'll pick it up. Alara did.
Yeah, fair. There is Alara.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go.
Two friends make their way off to watch a really, really sad, traumatizing, life-altering, haunting part of everyone's youth from most of our lives. We bring tonight's story to a close. But of course, we couldn't end tonight's story without one last scene. This scene takes us out of Florida. This scene takes us north and west. Far, far west. Into the mountains of Colorado. To a sept. A sept belonging to the Black Furies. Here, we find the sept of Ravenclaw. Except, we're not with Ravenclaw. We're not with Gibbous. Instead, we find ourselves in a storage room where a door opens up and a pool of light fills the doorway. Suddenly, a figure slumps against the door frame, groaning. They then stumble forward and fall to the floor. Blood pooling from their body and soaking their dreadlocks as Artie collapses and the storage room door closes. And that's where our story comes to a close this evening. Thank you so much to everybody watching at home. Thank you to these incredible players. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, go follow St. Pete by Night on all of the social media down below, or come join our community by joining at that Discord link in the description. You could be a part of all of the amazing World of Darkness fun and all of the other fun we have, where we can talk about how much Watership Down ruined our childhoods. So come be a part of all of that and more by joining at the Discord link. Also, this week, we have so much more incredible content coming your way. Friday on YouTube, we have the next episode of Hellhounds, so go tune into that. That goes live at 7 p.m. on YouTube. And then on Saturday, come on back to Twitch here, where I'm going to have an After Dark interview with Laura Tutu. So come and check that out. So lots and lots of incredible content coming your way. So stick around. We've got lots of cool stuff happening over here at St. Pete by Night, and you should be a part of it. But for these incredible players, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next Tuesday here on Rage Across Tampa. Have a lovely evening, everyone. See you soon.